Hello and welcome to the Application Delivery How-To series. My name is Matt Adam, and today's topic is how to set up advanced load balancing in the VMC environment. VMware Cloud on AWS together with VMware Hybrid Cloud Extension enables customers to accelerate their cloud migration in the simplest, fastest, and lowest risk way. VMware Cloud on AWS integrates VMware's compute, storage, and network virtualization products like vSphere, vSAN, and NSXT, along with vCenter for management and robust disaster protection, and optimizes it to run on dedicated, elastic Amazon EC2 bare metal infrastructure that is fully integrated as part of the AWS cloud. VMware SCDC runs on AWS bare metal and is sold and operated and supported by VMware and its partners. So that's VMC and AWS. Now bring in the NSX Advanced Load Balancer, aka Avi, into the picture, and you have the fully featured load balancing solution, including GSLB, WAF, advanced analytics, logging, and more. Avi fits great into the VMC SCDC because we overcome many of the legacy problems seen with legacy load balancers. Since Avi has a separate control plane and data plane, we can scale out traffic to many different load balancers at the same time, overcoming the scalability issues with the active standby design. There's a ton more reasons to explore Avi, but we can save that for another video. Let's jump into the deployment of Avi in the VMC environment. Deploying Avi in VMC is very easy. We have a simple form which gathers some input data and essentially uses Terraform and Ansible to deploy and configure all of the Avi controllers and service engines. We support DHCP and non-DHCP, and we also offer the option to configure all of the distributed firewall rules automatically. Now let's go ahead and take a look at that tool in action. So you can download the Avi Fling tool by going to flings.vmware.com, and we'll do a quick search for Avi. And it's this middle one right here, Easy Deploy for NSX Advanced Load Balancer. Let's go ahead and click this. It's an OVA file, so after you read and sign the license agreement here, you can download the OVA. And you're going to upload this to vCenter and give it an IP or use DHCP and spin up the VM. Okay, so after you have the VM up and running, you should have an IP address and you should see your VM here. You can access the UI. It is a HTTPS / the IP address of it. In my case, I created a public IP with a NAT going back in, and you should be able to reach the UI of your Fling tool. So the first thing you're going to do in the tool is download whichever version you're wanting to use. The versions that are available are 21.4 and 21.5. I have 21.5 in mine. You can use 21.4. If you need other versions, please let us know. We can add them. Go ahead and download the latest image for whichever you're going to use. And the next step is to actually create the deployment. So if we hop on over to the Deployment tab, click on New Deployment. And in here, it's going to ask which environment we're deploying in. So in our case today, it's VMC on AWS. Hit Next there. And this is where you'll put your access token. This token is used to authenticate back into VMware Cloud services. All right, so once you add in your access token, you should be able to populate a list of the organizations that you're part of. So we'll go ahead and select the Avi PM organization, hit Next. And then again here, it's going to ask you which SCDC you want to deploy Avi into. So we'll use the Matt Adam Demo 1. Hit Next again. So this is where we can start to configure some of our controller settings, right? So we're going to do the standard 8 vCPU for our controller. We're going to leave 24 gig for the MEM and 128 for the disk size. For our management network, we're going to use static IPs today. So I'll go ahead and select static here, or rather remove DHCP, and go ahead and set up the Avi management here. Okay, so now that I've got those IPs in here, let's go ahead and add in a full cluster so we get 3 controllers and cluster them together. Okay, so I have the cluster, I have the floating IP set, all is good on my controller settings, so I'll go ahead and click Next here. And now it's going to ask me for basically how many service engines or load balancers do I want to deploy. In our case today, we'll just go ahead and do 2 service engines, 2 core each, 25 gig should be fine. And let's see here, memory is set to 2 gig, that's fine as well. We'll go ahead and leave this as is, hit Next. SE networking, again, we're going to be turning off DHCP, so I'll be configuring these IPs manually. Okay, I also went ahead and added in the VIP IP start pool and end pool. What this will do is it will configure Avi IPAM, which will allow you to automatically select IP addresses in Avi for your new VIPs. For the application settings, this is basically asking you if you want to deploy a test app. So basically it'll create the VIP and get the load balancing working. Let's go ahead and do that as well so we can make sure that the AVI controllers and the service engines are working correctly. Okay, I gave them some static IPs here. We have DHCP turned off. Need those right now. And AVI image management, we have 21.5 downloaded, so let's go ahead and use 21.5 and hit next. Okay, and on the summary page, the last thing we need to do is add in the deployment name. We'll do deployment 1. So after we click submit, this should reach out to vCenter and start configuring the controllers and the service engines. All right, looks like we have a successful deployment. Let's go ahead and click the drop down here. So we can see that everything has been configured, right? We've added everything into the vCenter side, the NSX side as well. We also have some IPs back. So these are the IPs that we configured, and the floating, which is not shown, is the .13. And we have our creds as well, so our username and password. So I went ahead and set up a NAT, and now we have access to our AVI controller. So this is basically hitting the floating IP from the internet using the creds that were just provided to us. You can see that it went ahead and deployed the test application that we set up, and you can see here that we've added the pool members as well. So click on Edit here, go to the virtual service edit screen, and we'll hit Edit on the pool. And if we go to the servers, we can see that it has both the .10 and the .11 servers that we added, and we can see them again in vCenter as well. So come back over to vCenter, and we have the backend 0, which is the .10 here, and the backend 1, which is the .11. Please check out our other exciting videos at our Application Delivery How-To series. And thanks for watching.